Hello and welcome to Turtle Tracks Podcast. This is your host, Brian VanHooker, and I'm here with Brian Kulbacki, founder of Departed Soles Brewery in Jersey City, New Jersey. Brian, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. Hope you're enjoying the beer.
I am. So I wanted to interview Brian. I met him at Portsmouth Mini-Con up in New Hampshire, but then found out that he was a lot closer to me in New Jersey. I live in New York, but it's not that far at all. So
They both have new in the name. How far apart could they be?
exactly.
You know, like logically.
But yeah, you do a lot of like turtle themed beers, or a handful of them, and along with other pop culture references and stuff. So I thought it'd be cool to do a different kind of Turtle Tracks and come down here to the brewery and check it out. I guess to get started, where is Departed Soles? Can you give the address and how people can check it out?
Yeah, man. We're located at 150 Bay Street. We're right in downtown Jersey City. We're located 3 blocks off the PATH train. So if you're in New York City or honestly anywhere with access to like Penn Station, you could be from Penn Station to our door in about 15, 20 minutes. If you're a New Jersey Transit kind of person, you get to us from the Newark Penn Station, because there's, the world revolves around Penn stations. But no, we're right in downtown Jersey City. So we walk out our door, we look at One World Trade Center. If we look one direction, we look the other direction, and we're staring at the Statue of Liberty. So yeah, it's pretty awesome, pretty convenient for us. It's definitely a different brewery vibe than I think most breweries that opened 9 or 10 years ago like us. But we're living our best life and doing our thing here.
Cool. I guess before getting into the brewery stuff, I mean, you're a diehard Turtle fan. When did you grew up with Turtles? Tell me when you became a Turtle fan.
My Turtle fandom is probably one of the weirdest, most ridiculous stories of anybody you'll interview. It drives my mother insane.
Okay.
I was growing up, I was a Turtle fan. I was a Saturday morning cartoon kid, but my dad grew up on a farm and sort of had that mentality when he was raising us that Saturdays were not for sleeping in and going to baseball games. Saturdays were for waking up and washing the car and mowing the lawn and doing chores and all that kind of stuff. So I was the rebellious middle child, and really went hard on these Saturday morning cartoons. And WWE Sergeant Slaughter's my dude. I'd love to meet the man and make a beer with him one day. So I was just I was that child in the family, middle child, and I don't remember that time in my life vividly to be like,
sure,
they were the number one cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was definitely a G.I. Joe guy. I was definitely a He-Man guy.
Okay.
It was, like I said, I don't know what it was, but it was actually in high school. Friday nights growing up in Central Jersey when you're underage, like you walk around the mall cruising for girls kind of thing. And I think I popped into a Hot Topic and they had a Ninja Turtles track jacket there that I just thought was dope.
Okay. Wait, what year would this have been around?
Jesus, this would have been like 2001, 2002.
Oh, wow. So like in the quiet period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing was going on then. Nothing was going on for turtle lore at that time period. So it was super random that they even had it.
Yeah, that's like the Dark Ages.
And I don't really know what like drove me to buy it. It was like the OG, 80s TV cartoon Turtles, and I just loved it, bought it. And a couple days later, I was in between periods in high school and left it in my classroom. And we had 5 minutes in between periods, and realized it right away. Ran back, and everyone's like, "Oh no, we didn't see it. And obviously, the motherfucker that am I allowed to curse on here? Sorry.
Oh, please. Yes.
Obviously, some douchebag that took my seat, took my jacket, threw it in his backpack, and was like, I didn't see it. And that like kind of kicked things off for me. Because I went to a tiny private school. I hated the school in general. I had no business going there. I wasn't smart enough to go there. It was far away from where we lived. My bus ride was like 2 hours every day, but like that's where my older brother chose to go, so that's where we had to go. And like I made some great friends there, but for the most part, I lived far away and I was too smart, so I was picked on quite a bit. I was definitely the definition of like that version of a nerd. And there was something about that guy stealing that jacket from me that I was like, man, they might spend their time making fun of me, but they're really making fun of me because they kind of like what I'm doing here.
You just steal a jacket.
Yeah, you don't steal a jacket like that if you're not jealous, if you don't want it,
Yeah,
like. And so I was like, man, it actually kind of was like I don't want to call it like a come to Jesus moment, but it was like almost like an introspective moment where I was kind of like, man, like screw these guys that are picking on me, like screw these guys that are bullying me. They just want to be me. And that's probably not true because they all came from families that have a lot of money and I don't. But it was like it was kind of a thing to me, and so I doubled down on it and I hunted down a replacement jacket, and it sucked because I couldn't find one, so I found the next closest one.
Okay.
Which was like a totally different color, but whatever. I rocked it, and I just kept searching, and eventually, calling around the frigging country, I found a Hot Topic that had it.
Jeez,
And I was able to
great is
get
it?
one. Oh, I don't know.
Jeez.
It's crap, but I still have it. I
I
have
was
the
gonna say, at this
replacement.
point, you better be in a
Well,
case.
actually, I don't have the replacement.
Okay.
The story continues, but it just kind of evolved, and I just doubled down and kept buying more and more random shit. And I think at one point my mom was like, yeah, maybe if I like go over top in buying him stuff as well, he'll stop with this ridiculous new interest of his.
Sure.
And instead of turning me off of it, it just like added more fuel to the fire. I'm like, I will not be stopped.
Yeah.
I will make this torture all of you. And I will enjoy it in the process because I love the turtles, right? When you grow up in such a serious household where you're working, as a little kid, you go to work and listen, we got paid, man. Like, I'm not saying my dad like abused us or anything, like, but my dad paid us very well to work, but like he was trying to instill a work ethic in us that I think helped me create this brewery and make this brewery what it is. And I'm very grateful for that now.
Right.
But back then I was definitely
It
not.
takes some time to ever.
Back then I definitely was not. I was spiteful as hell. And so I kept doubling down on it, and it was what it was. And I was actually went on a retreat. I think it was my junior year of college, and it might have been senior, might have been sophomore. I can't tell you exactly. And part of this retreat is that to like get everybody to open up emotionally. What you don't know is that they solicited letters from your loved ones and your friends and your family that are supposed to like tell the story of your relationship, but like strike you to the core and like, tell you why they love you, tell you why they're proud of you, tell you whatever, something that maybe they haven't.
It sounds awful.
And it's brutal, man.
That's terrible.
It's brutal. There's no alcohol involved. And they just put you all in a room, like tell you to get comfortable, and they start reading the letters.
Ugh.
And everyone's crying. Everyone's like, fuck this, or walking out or whatever. And they get to my letter, and it ends up being a letter from my mom. And it talks about how when I was a kid, I drowned. And I knew I drowned. I had to be pulled out of the pool and kind of resuscitated. In my mind's eye, I don't understood why I drowned. I thought I went down the stairs. I thought I had my 1990 whatever bubble on. Or some swimmies, and I thought I just jumped in the pool because I thought I had it on.
Okay.
Turns out that wasn't the case at all. I was my cousins were apparently in the pool, and I was playing with my Ninja Turtle toys on the side of the pool on the deck. It was above ground pool, so a deck that went around it. And they all got out of the pool, and I kept playing with my turtles, and I think my Donatello fell in the pool, and I jumped in the pool after it, and I definitely didn't have my bubble on or any swimmies, and I vividly remember bobbing up and down. That's about the last thing I remember until waking up, like on the grass with my mom pumping my chest or holding me or whatever it was. But yeah, I drowned chasing a Ninja Turtle toy.
Jeez.
And so what I thought was being funny and like doubling down and throwing fuel on a fire and sticking it to the bullies in high school turned out I was destroying my mother.
Yeah.
And that's what her letter was about. And I thought it was fucking hilarious. So I kept doing it after we had a conversation, and now she's on board with it, and she still buys me stuff. And it's whenever there's like a toy at Target that's not up here, she'll go down on the Target by her and see if they have it, so she's on board with it now. I think, hearing my side of the story about why I re-embraced it, to sort of reassure myself and kind of stick up to the bullies and embrace who I was as a person. Kind of changed her perspective on my love of the turtles,
Sure.
my re-embracing of the turtles in my teenage years, and I've just kind of ridden with it. Like I said before, when you grow up in such a serious household, my family owns a funeral home, right? Like we were around, people in their worst time of their life, 24/7. We literally lived there for the first few years of my life. Our job as kids was tending door at funerals. Like we were around some serious shit as little kids. So to me, not just as a middle child, but like growing up around that, it was like cartoons were my escape. Cartoons were my reminder that life isn't always serious and sad or miserable. It was, and the Turtles, I just feel like, I don't know, Kevin and Peter and everybody that's been involved in it. And I think it's kind of cool that I can call them by their first names at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think like they do such a good job of like, it is, obviously it started off as more of a dark novel or whatever you want to call it. But like, as it hit the mainstream in the 90s, they still interwove some dark stuff in there and some adult themes and stuff like that. And I still think every iteration to this day still does that, where it's, they're obviously trying to cater to kids of this whatever current era, but they still do such a good job of interweaving serious topics into it, or matters into it. And I think that's why it's relatable still to adults and or people like us. And why you see parents taking their kids to the new movies. No matter how terrible those Michael Bay movies were, like you still did it because it struck a chord with you, and you wanted there to be that bond with your kids or your nephews or your nieces or whatever. I don't know. I think I totally went way too far with the story than what you were.
No, that's great. That it makes my job easier. What are you into now? Are you like a toy collector? Are you a comic guy? Anything like that?
Back in my apartment days, I really didn't go crazy on anything.
Sure.
It was mostly just like seeing something random and old and cool. Like no matter of anything I'm into, like I don't like buying the mainstream thing. I want to find that like really obscure random thing. And I'm much more into like the random find, like where you're at a store and it's there, or you're at a flea market and it's there, than scouring the internet. Like that's definitely more so of who I am. I wish I could say that I don't still buy everything at Target every time I go, but that has become a problem of late that I need to quell. But
NECA stuff or like
NECA's great, man. NECA's based out of Jersey, I believe.
Yeah.
And Randy was super dope. The first time we put out like a real turtle themed beer where we didn't like hide behind parody or anything. It was during COVID, and Randy actually showed up on like that Saturday and dropped off some NECA toys for us when he
oh, that's awesome.
And he picked up the beer. And like I I'll send him a message on Instagram now and then, but like that's the extent of our relationship with NECA. But like
that's so
awesome. The quality stuff that they put out is just so cool.
Yeah,
it makes it hard not to buy it when you see
it. I know. I'm
at least that's what I tell myself, or my fiance when she sees the credit card receipt. But I don't know. Like we said, we met up at Portsmouth Comic-Con and or Mini-Con, and there's so much cool old stuff out there that like I don't know, nobody's scratched the surface. There were people selling stuff up there that I don't think they scratched the surface.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine what Fiona and Kevin have in that bar.
Endless.
Like it's got to be insane.
Yeah.
And that's where I would like my collection to go, at least, is to like maybe stop buying all the stuff at Target and start being like, holy crap, where did that come from? Like, I was at a wedding in upstate New York last fall, maybe, and we found a comic book store in town, and they had like Polish knockoffs of the toys from the 90s.
That's cool.
And they were like, it was like $150 for all four of them. And I'm like,
that's tough.
it's tough, but it's like, man,
I
where else
recently
are you gonna
went-
see Polish knockoffs of the
I mean,
Ninja
yeah,
Turtles?
I reached the point where it's
I
like,
didn't do it because it was too much.
Okay,
yeah. And my friends were there, so they would have seen me and judged me.
I reached the point where it's like I have pretty much all the retro stuff I want. So like the stuff I get excited about now is like shitty Burger King toys.
Yeah.
And like or weird like accessories like flashlights and other garbage.
Yeah,
But
right.
that stuff is exciting.
Plus tiny stuff, so it's easier to find a home for.
Yeah. So
you know, I do love the new crossover stuff they're doing. Like
the monsters, NECAs?
No, like I think it's more Playmates is doing it now.
Oh, the He-Man stuff.
Like the He-Man stuff,
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe
I was
stuff.
never a He-Man guy.
See, I was.
So, like, I didn't-
Masters of
got
the
it, but
Universe,
like
I've got all that shit
The
on
toys,
pre-order.
like the toys look pretty cool, but
Yeah, I got all
not-
that stuff on
yeah.
pre-order because I was like, yeah, how do I not?
The only
This
one I think
is-
I'll have to get is the Bebop and Rocksteady two-headed guy.
yeah, those are pretty cool.
That one I'm like, I'm a huge Bebop and Rocksteady guy.
Yeah.
So like that one I might
we
need.
were talking about our beer cans. We did a beer called B-Hop and Hopsteady.
What?
There
All
were
right.
two different beers, but they were the same can. And depending on how you looked at it, one half of it was B-Hop and one half of it, I'm sorry, Bebop, but we called it B-Hop. And one half of it was Rocksteady, but we called them Hopsteady.
Oh, okay.
Gotta bring that one back. That was a good beer.
That I mean,
It's one of the coolest pieces of
that
art
alone
we've
is
ever done.
like that's. I mean, the name alone I
Yeah.
will need to try.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest. It's a mango IPA and a mango sour.
The one was one.
One was
Which
one
was
of
which?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember which was which. We did it as an anniversary. I want to say in like 2021,
Oh, that was
probably. And like I said, it was really cool. It was rectangular art, and they were just intertwined. So like, if you flipped it 180 degrees, B-Hop was here. And, you know, it was.
like a playing card. Almost?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really.
I have to see
cool.
at least a picture.
Yeah, I'll show
right.
it up on my.
That's awesome. Okay, so wait. When did you start? When did Departed Souls? And that's SOLES.
Correct.
So for people looking this up on Instagram, is Instagram the best place to look up Departed Souls? or-
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Departed Souls on Instagram.
So where did that start? Where did the brewery start?
I helped bartend my way through college. Went to Boston College, loved it up there. Where my replacement track jacket got stolen at a party. So I guess I'm on the third iteration of the black track jacket now. I got stolen senior year at a party.
Jesus.
But yeah, so I helped bartend my way through college. Great dive bar, frequently rated the worst dive bar or worst bar in Boston. Super fun to work at, loved it. RIP Marianne's. And I think you could say this now because they're closed, but you know, our manager let us drink while we were working, despite our age. And you know, when I finally turned 21, I had enough Busch Light in me already and Twisted Teas in me that one of my roommates and I started going to a bar called Sunsets, which was like craft beer mecca. Up there, like 144 beers on draft or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And that's really where my love of craft beer was born. My first brewery tour was Sam Adams up there back.
Oh, I've been on that. That's great.
Yeah, and that's back when Sam Adams was craft, you know, or like still considered craft.
Yeah.
And that kind of like really intrigued me, I guess, or lit a fire under my ass. And I moved to Miami after college. There was no craft beer scene down there at the time, except for like a tourist trap called Sharky's, which had a great beer selection. And so that's when I started learning about home brewing. Didn't really like dive into it so much, but like really got into the idea of doing it. My best friend would still living in Jersey, would visit me, and one time when he visited me, he kept getting sick, and we couldn't figure out why. I mean, we were drinking a lot. We assumed that was why, but he came home and he was, you know, going to the doctor, and it turned out he had celiac disease. So when I moved back to Jersey, he was a teacher, but worked at a restaurant, you know, to help pay his bills. I was working for a family business, and I was really getting into the home brewing at that point. We kept talking about starting a microbrewery or like a brew pub that would cater towards his dietary restriction, you know, and be a place where people could still enjoy craft beer who were gluten free.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, he passed away in a car accident in 2010. You know, I went down a pretty dark hole This is a really depressing podcast. I
No,
talked
it's
about
okay.
drowning and my friend passing away. Turtles, yay!
Like those.
He passed away, and I definitely I struggled with life for a little while, and finally my parents, about 2 years later, were like, it's time to get your shit together, and decided to brew a batch of beer. One of the subsequent weekends, and my buddy Rob was just like, you can still do it. You can still chase the dream and do it in his memory. And I'm like, bro, I don't have any restaurant experience. Like, I could bartend, and I could maybe turn my homebrew recipes into commercial stuff, but he was the restaurant, he was the personality, he was the face. He's like, well, to do a brewery. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you could separate the two. So I have an uncle works in real estate, and he always told me, whatever you decide to do, just make sure you have a degree or sufficient experience in that field if you want to start your own business, because you'll never be able to gain the respect of your coworkers, your employees, if you don't.
Good advice.
Yeah, great advice, I thought, and particularly at the time, because the wait list to get into the brewing school that I wanted to go to was 2 years. So I thought I bought myself 2 years of slacking by telling my parents I decided to apply to brewing school. And lo and behold, the brewing school read my story, my application, and called me the next day and was like, hey, we read your story. We love what you're trying to do. You start in 2 weeks.
Oh, so you didn't get the 2 years?
I did not get my 2 years, and I had to find $15,000 really quickly.
Jeez.
Which the third Black Ninja Turtle jacket was not worth. So but no, I went to brewing school in 2012.
Where was that?
Based out of Vermont.
Oh wow.
It's called the American Brewers Guild Brewing School. Largely remote learning, which is great. Let me keep my job. I was the first person to ever go there with the notion of doing gluten-free beers. So, I was able to take away a lot from it in terms of commercial brewing and the science and engineering that goes beyond it, and the business side of it. But, the gluten-free side was really, self-learning. And, there was about a handful of us on the, online homebrew forums that were really taking this seriously back then. And several of us still talk. 2 of us own gluten-free breweries now. Shout out to Mutantis Brewing Company in Portland, Washington. Right? Portland, Washington. Yeah,
There's a few Portland.
Yeah, Oregon. That one, the one out northwest.
I was gonna say Oregon.
Yeah, let's go with Oregon.
All right.
Sorry.
What's the name?
Sorry, Deja. Mutantis Brewing Company.
Okay.
One of the best gluten-free breweries and brewers I know.
Now you're just to interrupt here for a second. You're mostly gluten-free.
No, so when we were opening, the plan was to be 100% gluten-free. And then as we got closer, we realized that, the market probably wasn't ready for that.
Sure.
So we had to develop processes and procedures and a cleaning protocol that would let us do both inside the same brewery, which is challenging, to say the least. And, we found a way to do that. It's all proprietary. I mean, it's to the point where today we were brewing gluten-free and I don't even write certain things on our recipes so that my employees can't steal the ideas. And it's not a trust thing because breweries have tried to poach our employees to steal these things.
No
so
shit.
We have to play them.
Let me say this too. I'm just saying this from personal experience. So I'm not somebody who cares about that. And when you said gluten-free, when we met up in Portsmouth, I was like, oh, all right, this guy. And I tried several of your beers. I tried the Party Wagon one. I tried April Oatmeal, and now I've tried the non-turtle one.
Donut Soul, yeah.
But that one has gluten in it. So
all 3 have gluten in it.
All 3 of the ones I had.
Yeah.
No. But I tried one of your the gluten-free ones. You gave me a sample of something.
Up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Probably it was the Mexican lager.
There's at least 1 or 2 that you gave me.
Oh yeah, I had a bunch up there. Probably the Mexican lager because I drink the shit out of that one.
Okay.
Ego's not your amigo. It's a purple can with a skull on it, or birdie juice. Maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I love our gluten-free beer.
Well, I was gonna say what I was skeptical, and then tried them and really enjoyed it. So, and I'm a beer guy, and I was like, I'm just gonna whatever. It's free. I'm gonna try it. Absolutely fantastic for all of them. So everything I've tried of yours, I really like, including the gluten-free ones, which I would have been like, I'm not ordering that. So for those who are about to turn off the podcast on the grounds alone.
Well, we were just voted America's #1 gluten-free brewery back in today. So,
No shit. Well,
like, if you're gonna try gluten-free beer, I feel like we're a good place to start. That was in the fall. That was in the fall,
That's
like
fucking
November,
interesting. I didn't know
December.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Which was really cool. They had done it a couple years ago, and we finished in like third. So climbing on up,
That's awesome.
And
Wow.
we won some awards for it, but like I would say it's 50-50, 50% gluten-free, 50% not.
But I mean, that's
Uh,
awesome. That's
yeah, no, it's where we wanted to be, and doing it in his memory. And
What's your friend's name, by the way?
Chris Ward was his name.
Okay.
So Departed Souls is the question, right? So whenever he and I were drunk, especially when he had his celiac diagnosis, because we were big sports fans, so we go watch football all day on Saturdays and Sundays, and he would drink like vodka cranberries for 8 hours straight, and I would drink the Bud Light pitcher special for 8 hours straight. I'm not saying that's wise or encourageable, but inevitably one of us would end up buying a ridiculous pair of sneakers on our walk home or the train ride home or the walk to the train. And so Departed Souls isn't supposed to be like a morbid idea. SOLES is a hat tip to the sneaker problem that he created for me. And we use the Statue of Liberty in a lot of our art and our logos. And we like to say that she's the original symbol of a departed soul, somebody that left something comfy and cozy behind to chase their version of the American dream.
Nice.
And so I left, a job that paid me a hell of a lot better than this brewery that doesn't even pay me every month to chase our dream, Chris and I's dream. And that's my Statue of Liberty. The brewery is my Statue of Liberty. So,
Nice.
it's not meant to be like a morbid name. It just comes across that way.
All right. As part of so you do a lot of beers. When did you start getting into pop culture naming, and what was the first turtle one?
So we don't have, for those of you that are not here, we don't really have any windows in the brewery. So when I was designing this space, a lot of it had to do with bringing bright colors and the outside into the space so that you didn't feel like you were in a storage unit or a closet. And it's evolved every year. My ADHD kicks in and we change something up. But I did a couple murals when we were doing our build out. I painted them here. Unfortunately I got jumped. Another sad story. I got jumped right before our equipment got delivered, and while that equipment got delivered, I was on pain meds. I wasn't allowed to lift anything that quote unquote weighed more than a gallon of milk. So I was just sitting here painting the walls high on pain medication. I drank some beers while I was doing it because I'm smart. And so we brought in a lot of bright colors. And prior to said getting jumped, I had actually emailed Kevin and Peter, being like, "Hey, this is my brewery. This is what I'm launching. I would love to open with a bang and just do like a one-off turtle homage, or at least have you do the artwork, like just something to like really put some wind behind the sails of us. Because I'm doing this on my own. I need all the help I can get." Like,
What year was that?
This would have been back in 2015, 14/15.
Okay, so the Turtles were already with Nickelodeon, but
yeah, I got jumped January 31st.
Only drama that
yeah.
marks our occasions here.
If you know me, and anybody that knows me knows that drama just follows me. It's like a sad fucking emo song, which is why we do so many emo collaborations. I do have the worst luck possible. So you think you're recording this, but actually when you get home, you're going to realize it's just gone. It's just gone. Yeah, you better save it.
I did check twice.
No, and I found Peter's email address like randomly on I don't know, some website. And he wrote back to me really quickly and he's like, I don't drink. Beer's not really my thing, but this does sound like a Kevin thing. Here's his cell phone number. And I'm like, well, I'm not just going to call Kevin's cell phone number. Maybe can I get an email address? He's like, sure, here's his email, Kevin. And Kevin was like, well, we just sold to Viacom recently. They kind of hold all the cards at this point. And, it's not really public knowledge at this point, but they are planning like a little relaunch. So I don't think they'd be about it.
Sure.
But I'll definitely ask them, and I'll get back to you. And if not, like, I've got this brand called Heavy Metal. Would you do something with heavy metal? I'm like, man, I'll do anything with you. Like, you're Kevin Eastman,
Dude. Yeah, for sure.
You say jump, and I say into the beer. Like,
Yeah,
where am I going?
Yeah.
You know, and obviously Viacom said no.
It's a kid's property, so it's
It's
reasonable.
absolutely 100% reasonable. Totally understood it. You know, like annoying that you walked in a Hot Topic and they had shot glasses still, but
No, they're
those are called juice
they're
glasses.
just small glasses.
They're
I
juice
don't know
glasses.
what you're talking about. They're just portion control.
Yeah, I learned a lot about branding via 2 emails, and so we were going to do a heavy metal beer, and that's when I got jumped, and yeah, basically I was in and out of hospital and surgery or whatever for 2 months, and by the time I was back like here full time, it kind of just fell apart.
Okay.
Unfortunately, which sucked, but like again, understandable. So we kind of just went about our thing, like we did no real turtle references or anything like that. We were just very clearly trying to be a brewery where, based off our art style and our names, that we were our baby of the 80s childhood advanced 20 years, if that makes any sort of sense. Your childhood on craft beer. I think the first like real reference we did was more of a Dr. Seuss reference than anything.
Sure.
And it just kind of vibed with us. And then at one
What
point,
was that one?
it was called the Nuggy Monster. Like the name didn't really have anything to it, but the artwork definitely.
Seussian.
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's right. It's right there when you get a chance, next to the calendar on the door of the.
No, I love Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. But it was just like that sort of became a thing, and I had printed up a T-shirt, like an iron-on T-shirt of the DSBC, our initials. That kind of looked like the turtle logo, and a lot of people kept saying, like, "Oh, you should sell it. You should sell that." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to get in trouble."
Yeah.
And I respected that. And
was it the font or was it because I've seen the font?
It was our.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's what's on our merchandise now. But it was what it was. And then at one point, joking around with our can artist at the time, I'm like, man, it'd be super dope if you could do like 4 hops that kind of look like turtles for me. I'd love to get them tattooed.
Yeah.
And he did that for me. I got him tattooed, and it just like people started really doubling down on like, yo, you got to do it. You got to do it. So I started with them because they didn't cross any lines. They were hops with a bandana.
It's a hops with a bandana.
Our heroes in a hop shell, if you will.
And they're just green, which hops are in.
And then and being where we are in Jersey City, a lot of people that work for Viacom live in Jersey City.
Oh, really?
And they, because they can commute to the city super easily from here.
Oh, no shit.
And they saw it and they loved it. And they were having corporate happy hours here. And then they started bringing me shit where like we have a wind chime that was sent to Viacom for like an approval, and they denied it. And they gave me the prototype.
That's cool.
It's hanging by the sneakers. I'll point out to you.
By the bar.
Yep. Yeah, it's right next to our bar now. Yeah. I had to move it because somebody's tried to steal it. So I had to move it to where we can keep an eye on it. And it sort of became clear-ish to me that when Kevin brought it to Viacom, this was back in the day where Kevin and Peter made it very clear that like the turtles belong to everybody. And as long as you don't cross the line and don't be stupid and don't hurt Viacom's intellectual property, they need to be okay with it. Yeah, and I don't know if that's true or not. Like, that's my theory. It's my running theory that I operate on.
You've also done I don't know what the I know that parody laws tend to just counter on how much people want to sue people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So, but I mean, the things that you've done have been very you could argue they're parody very much.
Oh, 100%,
they're silly names, they're puns on it. So it's not like there's Raphael. It's very much
and there are many breweries that have gotten shut down immediately.
Really?
By that, well, not the brewery shut down, but a beer shut down immediately.
No,
when they have crossed the line, and rightfully so. If you go out there and you're like, hey, look at our Ninja Turtle beer, you're gonna get a cease and desist.
Absolutely. And that right, again, it's a kid's property. It makes sense.
But if you go out there and you're like, hey, Ralph, who launched the Ninja Turtles at his Comic-Con 40 years ago, asked us to make a beer called Party Wagon.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it.
And Party Wagon's a safer collection of words.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
We put out a stout, and I didn't have a name for it. I put it out on Instagram. I'm like, I'm out of names. And a friend from college messaged me. She's like, "Are you stupid? You're a Ninja Turtles fan. It's April O'Neil." And I'm like,
April O'Neil's very good.
I'm like, God damn it! Like,
that's a try of yours. I loved April O'Neil.
April O'Neil is a delicious
That's very
beer. And Judith Oak saw it and like asked for some. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we have some labels autographed by Judith. Actually, there's one right next to our Party Wagon can.
That's awesome.
We've just had we've had a lot of fun with it. Anytime where we think we might cross a line, we always do it for charity. So we donate the proceeds to a cause rather than profiting off of their intellectual property. We try and do it the right way, at least. We do that sort of thing. But 99 times out of 100, and it's not to say we've done it 100 times, like it's a one-off beer. It's here, it's gone, it's done. We make, as a small brewery, we make so little money off of one batch of beer that it's, by the time we would get a cease and desist, the beer would be sold out, and that little bit of money, that $1,000 we made off a batch of beer,
sure,
what's my account?
Sure. I mean, what was the first one where you said you dipped your toe in the water? Was that New Jersey Ninja?
New Jersey Ninja was the first one we dipped our toe in the water. It's actually a gluten-free beer. The can art has, more or less no Ninja Turtle references on it. But the description of the beer on the can says, you might enjoy this beer while listening to some bebop jazz or rocking steady to some whatever.
Sure.
Shred open this can when you're with your friends and blah, and I think the stripes on it might have been the turtle colors.
Okay.
So that was the first beer that dipped the toe in the water. Our fermenters since day one have been named Donatello, Michelangelo.
I was just saying, so you're, I'm here in the brewery, and the big tanks have a purple stripe, an orange stripe, a blue stripe, and there's a red one there too?
Oh yeah, it's all the way in the corner.
They all have the colored stripes, which I didn't notice when you're sitting. They look like the bandanas, but again, there's not even eyes. It's just a color stripe.
It's when we opened, I did as like I said, that work ethic that my dad instilled in me. I was doing so much of the work myself. It was like most breweries number their fermenters.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to give them names since I'm working here alone. Like that way, when I'm talking to myself in the brewery, I can at least, throw a name on it. So my mom actually made, they were fabric bandanas that the fermenters had originally.
Oh, wow.
And those had to get disposed of fairly quickly because when you mix fabric with water and humidity,
sure,
it's not great. So those went fairly quickly, and now they're vinyl. We still never named our 5th fermenter, but we just got a 6th fermenter in January, and that one was called The Last Ronin. Shout out Ben Bishop. Because we can't fit another fermenter in this space. So
got it.
It is the last Ronin.
So that's the 6th
of fermentation in this space.
Is there any temptation to call it Jenica or Slash or anything like that?
At first, we were calling it Brant after our tasting room manager.
Okay.
And then it was Jenica. But since we already have a blue one, it was to get a different shade of blue and trying to explain that to people that aren't.
Oh, for Venus. That's Venus.
Oh, Venus. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's hard.
That was hard.
Yeah.
I think the inclination.
It's probably a cursed name.
Yeah, and I named my car, so I don't want to reuse the name.
You can't use Mondo.
On these, so
it's tough.
well, Mondo will not get named. Yeah, that's taken forever.
Yeah.
I think the inclination is to call it Metalhead.
Oh, that's nice.
It does make sense.
Yeah, it's made of metal.
Yeah, it's metal. It's got a top on it, sort of like a head.
There you go.
It's a metal.
Yeah.
It probably makes the most sense to call it Metalhead, but
sure.
Our canning line is the Technodrome. Yeah, we're all over the place here.
Nice. How many other? What was another turtle-ish parody beer you've done?
So the first definitely went there beer was Secret of the Brews. It was a blue raspberry sour.
Oh wow, that sounds amazing. I'm a big sour guy. I love sours.
The Monday before the world shut down at COVID, I was at a bar in the city doing a podcast, and there was a blue raspberry sour on it. And when I held it up to the light, I'm like, it's kind of got a green hint. How the hell did they make this beer green without food dye? And I was like, yellow beer, blue raspberry.
Yeah.
yellow plus blue is green.
Yes.
Damn it.
This is our educational
And
episode as well.
so we put out a beer that went viral the May of whatever year that was that COVID shut us all down, 2020.
2020, yeah.
It was making fun of the Houston Astros for cheating on the World Series, called Trash Can Banger. And we put that beer out, and that went crazy. And then a week later, we released Secret of the Brews. And it was just two beers in a row that just like, first you had all the sports nerds coming here,
Sure.
and then you had all the turtle people coming here. And that beer just like, it's some of my favorite can artwork we did. It's super simple.
Yeah.
But it was such a unique beer that it just like, people loved it. Like, even if you weren't a turtle fan, you loved it.
Well, the artwork looks like the cans from Secret of the Ooze.
Exactly.
And like the simplicity of that and the shape and all that, like I wish I tried it. I did not know about it.
We bring it back about every other year, though it's
Is this one of those years?
No, it came out last year.
Yeah.
It is becoming slightly more frequent.
Okay.
So we went from Secret of the Brews, BREWS, and for our gluten-free friends, we did Secret of the Brews, BROOZE.
Okay.
So those were the first two that went hard. I think from there we went to Casey Cones, which was a strawberry ice cream IPA.
Okay. So like a hockey mask on it or something?
Oh yeah, it was a hockey mask with it was Casey Jones' mask,
Okay.
but with I believe ice cream cones instead of the slits on the mouth, if
Nice.
I'm remembering correctly. And he was holding up a fist, a taped fist, but he had ice cream cones on his fist.
Nice.
That was a good one. And actually, the guys that made the Ninja Turtles the Casey Jones fan film a couple of years ago, Livewire, Casey Jones Livewire.
Yeah.
They happened to be here. They didn't know about it, but they happened to stop in the brewery the weekend it came out. So if you watch Casey Jones Livewire, some of our beer cans are in that movie.
No shit. Are they from around
No,
here?
they're from Chicago. They just
super
brought
weird.
them home with them. They were here meeting with somebody about the film, heard about Secret of the Brews, thought we'd have Secret of the Brews. We didn't, but instead we had that beer, so it was very serendipitous.
Oh wow.
And super nice guys. So we did those two. I think B Hop and Hop Steady were the next ones.
Gotta see the can art for those.
Then we went to TCR IPA.
I love that name.
Which was an IPA with hops that began with T, C, and R.
What does the can art for that one look like?
That was like a sort of like a krang coming out of a fermenter.
Okay.
A hop krang coming out of a fermenter.
Sure.
And then from there we went to April O'Neil. And I think and then Party Wagon now, but I think that's where we stand at this point.
Nice. And did Ralph reach out to you?
So Ralph
DiBernardo, who helped launch the Turtles 40 years ago and recently did Portsmouth Mini-Con, just for sake of the
Jetpack Comics.
Yes, Jetpack Comics also. Great guy. He's been on the podcast a couple times.
So Ralph, I believe, reached out to me when we put out Secret of the Brews, seeing if he could get any of it. And with how viral that beer went, a lot of it was, no, or ignoring it. But like whenever somebody seemed like there might be a comic book shop or a turtle collector or whatever, I would try and see who they were and like,
sure,
look at who Jetpack Comics was and who Ralph was. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get you some beer. I'm gonna find a way. So we kind of just hit it off that way. And like, I didn't ask anything from him for it. But a couple weeks later, I got some comic books from him.
Nice.
And it was just like, man, like
Ralph's a good dude.
When you meet somebody good like that,
yeah,
in any sphere, but especially like a sphere where you have such a common bond. Ralph's also a big craft beer guy.
Oh, nice.
When you meet somebody like that, like you want to be their friend. So Ralph and I kind of kept in touch, and then when The Last Ronin was coming out, I would buy The Last Ronin from Jetpack online. And I would buy, because Kevin would have people doing or let comic book shops do their special covers.
Yep.
I would always buy Jetpack's special cover, which was done by Rich Burrell, another awesome dude in the turtle world. And I love the colors that Rich used on its
Tons of pink,
covers.
which is like really this crazy.
Yeah,
covers.
like
They're
pink
great.
and turquoise.
They're
really cool and really
the Jetpack
directly
covers
like
of that were really great.
contradicted the last Ronin story.
Yeah, but they just looked, I don't know, they were super bold.
They
Like
pop.
Ralph sent those to me and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So I love those. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was buying them and spending a ton of money on that stuff. And we always talked, and Ralph actually told me about his desire to do something like the Portsmouth Mini-Con about 2 years ago. Asked if we'd make a beer for it, and I was like, we don't have distribution rights in New Hampshire, but if there's a way, we'll find a way.
Mm.
He's like, yeah, I'd love you to be there. Like anybody who's anybody with turtles is going to be there. Like, I know.
And it ended up being true.
And obviously it didn't happen,
Sure.
for a while. And I would say it was about January or February. It was like, keep this close to the vest, but this is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then the beer's happening. You just tell me what to do, how to do it, and we'll be there. And I'll get you beer, and we'll find a way. And awesomely, he had Rich do the artwork, and Rich killed it.
That's the Party Wagon beer.
Yeah,
which is very good.
We found a brewery up in New Hampshire to make their version of the beer. We brewed our version of the beer. That way, there was some available to the guests of Portsmouth Comic-Con.
Oh, nice. I wasn't sure how you pulled it off.
And we made our batch down here. Unfortunately, we ran into some problems with our batch of beer, which really sucked. And we ended up recalling it.
Oh, right. I forgot.
But we got it up there. We got it in the hands of everybody. We had a great friggin' time. I mean, one of the best weekends of my life. I don't know how you feel.
Dude, that was amazing. Like
to go to, I mean, first of all, to meet all the guys, and for guys and girls, and for virtually all of them to be amazing people and friendly. Like, I'm not gonna say I enjoyed all of them. I thought one guy was a douchebag, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I made my opinion known to his face, which I probably shouldn't have. Hopefully, Ralph doesn't know about that. Like, to get to meet everybody and befriend them. Like, I think I'm now Facebook friends with almost everybody that was there. Like, it was amazing. It was one of the coolest, and
it
like,
really was.
My fiance couldn't go, but like, she encouraged me to bring a friend, and I invited a couple of friends. But it was like, when I got back, she was on a bachelorette party that week, and she's like, "How was your weekend?" I was like, "It was great, and I'm so glad I went alone." And she was like, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Because I just got to do my thing and like be amongst other people that were equally immersed in the experience." And like, some people it might have been a novelty, but like to us.
Also, you bring along the person who's only like, oh, I watched Turtles when I was a kid, but like you can't
exactly,
like you feel a little bit like you got to hang out with them a little bit,
like you and I did, right? Like you were right by Mitch and Aaron, like you get to sit and bullshit with these people who have literally created things that you have embraced since your childhood, and to find out that they're just normal people, but like B, great dudes that you want to sit and have a beer with, was really frigging cool to me. Like, I don't know. It was very, ironically, I thought, not to get myself or any like in trouble or anything, but like, ironically, I thought it was the people that are most involved in the Turtles still, and I think like most embraced, were the nicest. And then some of the Mirage people that have kind of like stayed away from the newest stuff, they were the ones that tended to be douchebags. And I was like, why? Like, we're all here because of you. We're here celebrating you this weekend.
Sure.
Like, you should be happy. Like, you should be drunk and we're at a brewery. Like, you should be having a great friggin' time. People are paying you for your autographs and want to talk about art you did 40 years ago.
Sure.
Like, be happy.
Yeah.
One guy wasn't.
We won't get into that. I mean, I'll say for me, like, that definitely was one of the best weekends of my life. I've been friends with Ken Mitroni specifically for the last 5 years, give or take, since I had him do the podcast. And he was literally my favorite turtle artist as a kid, and still is. Like, ever. Yeah. But he and I had like been friendly for the last X number of years, but I never met him in person until Portsmouth Mini-Con. That got to meet Chris Allen in person, who I was hanging out with this past weekend.
Yeah.
Like,
did you go to his movie night?
I'm going to be going there. We met at
we
the
can carpool.
Dude, please, that sounds a great idea. But like, it was the most amazing weekend, and like a once in a lifetime, awesome little intimate con. So
I first met Kevin maybe 2 years ago, actually, the brewery lawyer, Sal Vargo, Esquire, if anybody needs a lawyer in New Jersey. He brought me to Comic-Con New York City Comic-Con, the year that Kevin kind of like randomly showed up at.
Okay.
I think it was 2 years ago, where like it wasn't announced, but like a week ahead of time, it was like, hey, by the way, the last Ronin team is going to be here. That was the first time I got to meet Kevin and Courtney and Ben, and Steve,
Sure.
and the colorists, the brothers.
Oh no, Escorza brothers.
Yeah.
And Luis Antonio.
Yeah.
For the
And it was kind of, again, serendipitous how it happened, where like we were in line forever to get their autographs. And I brought empty beer cans to have them sign. And I think Steve had to get up to go to the bathroom, right? And like they were all lined up, and it was Ben, Steve, Kevin. And Steve had to get up to go to the bathroom right as we were getting up to him. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll step out of the way because I really want Steve's autograph on a can. And the security was like, no, just hang out. Like, we're not really worried about like advancing the line. You can just hang out. So for whatever it was, the 5 or 10 minutes that Steve was gone, we just got to sit and bullshit with Ben Bishop, Kevin Eastman, and Courtney Eastman.
That's cool.
And it was like, they're looking at the cans, and Courtney was like, Kevin, don't we have these? And Kevin's like, yeah, they're above our mantle. I'm like, well, I'm the brewer.
That's
and
awesome.
It was like, to hear that they had our cans.
That's amazing.
Was really frigging cool to me.
That's really cool.
And Fiona, who runs the Kevin Eastman Studios,
yes,
like
she's awesome.
You deal with her if you order anything online or a member of the fan club. Amazing human being, and like wealth of knowledge, and does so much good in Turtle or Kevin's name or whatever you want to call it, like kind of like the behind the scenes force behind his online presence, right?
Absolutely.
And
Fiona's awesome.
I don't know if you've ever had her on the podcast, but man, I can't even imagine the story she could tell.
I was talking to her live at the con, and we've corresponded a bit because I've interviewed Kevin a half dozen times for it. Because I
had a great accent, right? Like just to have that accent on.
He really is great. Yeah, I should have her on. That's a good idea.
Yeah, but yeah, she's great people. So like, it was really cool to hit it off with them and get to know them, and that's where I hit it off with Ben Bishop, and like, so Ben's actually doing artwork for us now. And,
nice. Did he do one yet?
He hasn't done anything for us yet. He does some brewery labels up in.
Yeah, so he's done some. Yeah.
Never anything turtle related. He's not doing a turtle related thing for us. He's doing something punk rock emo for us because we share the same taste in music. But
Ben's a good dude.
It was the same thing. Like it was just so much fun at that event. Like Ralph put together just this epic event.
Right?
That I will remember for the rest of my life. Because not only did I get Kevin and Peter to sign a beer can of mine.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Like I got all these artists to draw Mondo Gecko for me.
Yes.
Including Kevin. Like Kevin did a sketch of Mondo on there, and like, but it wasn't that, and it's not the autographs that mean anything to me. It was those conversations that you got to have, like bullshitting with people in line, right? Like that day that Peter was signing, hey, Peter wasn't even supposed to be there.
He wasn't a guarantee until the day.
People lined up for almost 4 hours, and then he had to go, right? Like enough was enough. He was a champion.
Absolutely.
I like 2 autographs per person. He had to sign 300 or 400 autographs before he called it a day. And and the people that like waited in line for 4 hours that day and get an autograph were just like, yeah, whatever. We tried.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I've never been to an event like that.
And he came back the next day.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But like I've never been to an event like that where people just got out of line and were like, oh well, darn.
Yeah.
Oops. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of the event. Like nobody cursed up a storm, nobody flipped off.
Yeah.
Like it was just so chill, such a great environment to be around everybody. Like I hope that Ralph decides to do it again. I hope that everyone comes back, make it bigger, better. I don't know how you make it bigger or better, but like clearly the winner is behind their sales. And
it was a really special event.
Yeah, it was.
So,
special is definitely like the perfect way to put it.
And like I get to meet like cool, like not just the creative, but also like other cool things. Like again, getting to meet you was awesome, and like to hang out with you, like you and a handful of other people. Like it was just a great time overall. It was really
100%.
Yeah.
I never thought that like. I think my Facebook post that Sunday was something like, my personal Facebook post was like, I never did this to like amount to anything. I didn't think I'd ever be somebody in the Ninja Turtle sphere.
Sure.
Like I didn't think making a beer would make me irrelevant to people like this. But the fact that I got to go up to that event and just be there was super cool. But also to have like, and I'm sure you felt the same way, like to have people come up to you and be like, oh, aren't you so-and-so? Don't you do this? I'm like,
yeah. Like, it's weird when somebody's like, "Oh, hey,
I'm like,
you should do that podcast."
Kevin Eastman's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken Mitroni's right
Very
there.
strange.
Adam Mazzari's right there. Chris Allen's right there. Like Mitch Bodie's right there. Ben Bishop's right there.
It's very weird.
Bull Ayers is right there.
Yeah.
Like, why are you coming up and saying hi to me?
It's very weird.
I am not important.
Yeah.
Just because my truck is green and says Turtle Power on it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's super cool. It's a weekend I'll never forget for sure.
You know, dude, my last question for you is, who's your favorite turtle and why?
Wow. So I always say I love when people are like, "What's your favorite beer?" I like to say I love all my children equally, but the turtles are not my children. So I can't say that, though I do love them all. I like to say I'm somewhere of a hybrid between Leonardo and Michelangelo.
Okay.
It's sort of what I tell my employees, right? Like when we're here in the brewery, I'm the boss and I'm focused on getting the job done.
Yeah, you gotta be.
And you know, that's my sole focus is making sure everyone's safe, making sure the job gets done, making sure we can pay our bills. But the second we walk out those doors and you see me at a bar, let's do shots, let's get crazy, let's have fun. Totally different version of Brian. So I like to think in the brewery I'm Leonardo, but outside the brewery I'm Michelangelo. So it's cheating, but they're both my favorite.
No,
but at least I narrowed two out.
No, that's fine. And you're a huge Mondo Gecko guy. That's your guy.
Mondo Gecko is my guy, period.
Yeah.
No matter what, Mondo's my dude. We do a lot of skateboarding stuff here. You know, I wish I looked as young as Paul Rudd. But neon green is sort of the color that the brewery embraced. And I just love Mondo Gecko. I mean, he's super fun.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's a Ninja Turtle. So, like, I think I'm a Ninja Turtle.
And, like, the only one...
You think you're a Ninja?
Yeah,
we're all
absolutely.
We're all Mondos. We're all Mondos.
One of the only classic characters that got, like, a variant. And, like, he's just, like, of all the so many other mutants they've done, like,
I just really hope Seth Rogen, like, somehow turns him green in the next...
That bothers me.
It really bothers me that they made him blue. And I don't get it. There was no basis turning him fucking blue. Seth Rogen, turn him green. He's a good guy. Right? Maybe that's the transition when he stops being on the bad team to the good team.
Sure.
He's a gecko, right? They change colors, make him green. God damn it.
And with that.
Yeah. And on that note.
All right, dude. Thanks for doing this. Again, tell us where to find everything Departed Soles related.
DepartedSouls.com or jerseycity.beer. Departed Soles, SOLES on Instagram, Facebook.com/Departed Soles Brewery. TikTok, we're Departed Souls. Twitter/X, we are Departed Souls. I'm sure if you just Google Ninja Turtle Brewery, we're probably right there too. So
Awesome.
Come hang out and have a beer.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, heroes in a half shell, turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team.
We're really hip.
Ninja Turtles, they're heroes in the half shell, and they're green.
Hey, get a grip.
When the evil Shredder attacks, these turtle boys don't cut 'em no slack. Teenage Mutant